No, absolutely. So I've always been like into combat sports. I wrestled in high school. Was a pretty mediocre wrestler.
Okay.
Uh, wrestled all 4 years, but wasn't really, really never really did much in the sport. Um, Martial arts growing up, I did kickboxing, boxing. So I was kind of already working my way into MMA before it was really like my goal, let's say.
Yeah.
Wrestled all through high school, was nowhere near good enough to wrestle in college, right? When I was a freshman in college, kind of started getting the itch to do something. I remember being at Blockbuster, if you remember Blockbuster,
oh, yeah.
right? Renting the
night,
DVDs. Yeah, right. I remember being at a Blockbuster and picking up a DVD, and it was a UFC, and being like, man, I bet if I rent this, it's gonna make me want to, because I already had the itch to compete again. I'm like, I bet this is gonna make me want to get back into martial arts or something. At the time, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I go home, I watch it. I'm watching Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort. I mean, I grew up watching the original UFCs and stuff.
Sure.
But this is kind of, it wasn't mainstream just yet, but there were guys that I could get behind, right? So I'm like, I got to give this stuff a try. Sure enough, that's what led to jiu-jitsu. I started jiu-jitsu 2004.
Okay.
Freshman in college.
Wow. You were really ahead of the game.
Yeah. So it's by no means mainstream yet,
No.
This is before The Ultimate Fighter, before any of that stuff. And it was a time when, like, if you were going to be an MMA fighter, let's say, you'd go start training jiu-jitsu and you'd meet other guys in the gym, and pretty much everybody was there with the goal of using their jiu-jitsu to fight. There wasn't a lot of jiu-jitsu competition. So if you're training jiu-jitsu, you're probably an MMA fighter or something like that. So it didn't take long for me to go, jiu-jitsu beginner to, what's going on with these MMA fights, and take an interest.
Right.
So that's kind of how it happened. And it happened really fast. I think.
So you always had the natural ambition to fight. You wanted to kind of test it. And then when you felt ready, you went for it. It's amazing. I think I've seen your first fight on YouTube. It's this old cage fight. It's amazing, but it's definitely you. Like, there's certain things about you haven't changed at all, but it's amazing. Do you recall your first fight, what that experience was like?
Yeah. So that fight you saw is like the first fight that I had that was properly in a cage.
Okay.
Or I take that back. Properly in a cage in a sanctioned MMA fight. Okay. My fights, I had plenty of MMA fights before that one.
Wow.
And the thing was, at the time, it was difficult to get sanctioning in Illinois to do MMA. So promoters at the time were kind of weaving their way through the rules. And what I did is I found a flyer that said there was a full contact karate tournament. I was a jiu-jitsu blue belt. Wow. And somebody told me, they're like, it's not really karate. You should hit up that promoter. I hit up the promoter and he's like, yeah, we can't really call it MMA. So when you show up, throw on a gi top that we'll have here and some belts or whatever.
Yeah.
And that you guys can fight then. And then if somebody from the commission shows up, it's a karate tournament. Look, they're in gis, right? Yeah. So my first two fights, no joke. My first two fights happened in one night, and I've got this random karate gi on.
Wow.
There was caution tape on one side of the ring. It was a disaster. Like, this is no joke. Like, and so the thing is, at the time, the UFC was a thing already.
Yes,
but as far as like local MMA, yeah, exactly. It was a Wild West. So you're fighting multiple times in a night, and it's just kind of how it was.
It's so crazy to me. And now I never fought, but I wrestled and I trained, so I knew fighters. I've known plenty of fighters over the years, and I've always admired fighters. And been a fan of MMA and everything. But it just, like, I have even extra admiration for guys that fought under those conditions and fought more than one time a night. It's way different. The tournament style, or just the expectation in a local event to fight more than once in the same night, like, is really crazy to me now that I think as a 38-year-old man. I'm like, oh my God, like,
crazy for me to think about now.
Yeah, it's great. Only the young, like, it's pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say fearless, because I don't want to say stupid that back then.
Sure,
But, you know.
fair enough. Yeah. Was it hard for you to find fights in your weight class back then? Did you have to always fight bigger guys?
So the first, I was fighting bigger guys. So the fight that you saw on YouTube was actually, it was my first fight at 135 pounds.
Okay.
Like before that, it was like kind of 155 and under was kind of just what you got swept up in. Those are the lightweights, right?
Yeah.
I want to say the UFC didn't even have a lightweight division at the time because
No.
they'd done away with it for a while.
Yeah.
So as far as local events, they're having 155 and under. And, you know, like I fought in a couple of, I fought in an 8-man tournament actually once.
Oh my God.
And it was just 155 and under, you know.
Wow. Wow, that's actually awesome. They came together. They had enough competitors to do that in an 8-person tournament. But what a crazy experience.
Yeah,
wow.
wild. That's wild.
So do you have a